Okay, here we go!
They were 7 ordinary kids. Then the sky opened wide and transported them to a new world of amazing creatures. And incredible danger. Now, catch the wave of excitement as TV's hottest new heroes.
Digimon attack!
Capture your imagination. In the new series everyone is talking about.
No autographs, please.
Digimon Digital Monsters.
No, man, Digimon, man, it had its moments, man. It just Pokemon was overpowered, man. It was overpowered, man.
All right. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Welcome everybody to this episode of The Lookout. It's a special episode, a bonus episode, something just on the channel for you guys to enjoy. Maybe it'll be on the YouTube or something along those lines in full. But I am Meelz. I'm here with the Platinum Chanel boy himself, Jeff.
Yeah.
And I am here with Jamal. Jamal, do you have a name similar? You know what? It's weird because after you say Platinum Chanel boy, it's kind of like, where do I go from there? Then?
Yeah, there's really nothing you can say after Platinum Chanel boy.
Well, listen, we got the Lookout in the building. We got Big Guys in the building. We got kind of the whole team in here to talk about. We were all brought here together, similar to the Digidestined.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, what's up? What's poppin'?
Here to talk about the upcoming reboot, the upcoming new sort of take on the anime for Digimon Adventure. It is going to begin, I believe, the first week of April. I'm trying to see.
Isn't it April 5th, right?
Yeah, it's the 5th.
There we go.
That's what I got.
So I got April 5th that it is starting. It's an official reboot. There is... And by reboot, we mean the original 7 Digidestined, probably soon to be 8 afterwards. It'll be wild if they replace Kyrie. With,
they won't.
No, they won't. But it is crazy though that they're just they're scrapping everything. 20 years of hard work, they're just going out the window.
Yeah, I mean, it might as well.
So here's why I'm not mad at that. And this is our general discussion. We don't have any necessarily planned for this episode. We're just kind of going to talk freely. Here's why I kind of like that. Because being kind of held to whatever the anime was 20. By the way, the anime 20 years ago was a kid show. It was 100% a kid show.
It was. I attempted to rewatch it, and it was not. Yeah, I couldn't get through it. Yeah, it's not easy to get through.
It kind of felt like something made for its specific time in a world where
it made sense.
Monster Rancher and Pokemon,
yeah,
all these other kind of kids of the variety, these 90s show with these slick Alec protagonists, and
absolutely.
And his friend and all this other stuff. It kind of feels within that realm, but this kind of new take on the Digimon Adventure has an opportunity to kind of spread its wings. And we talked about it a little bit on the Lookout's intro earlier this week, but we talked about it in terms of here's an opportunity to do something that you've never done and extend the series in a way it's never been extended before.
Absolutely.
And because the original season, of course, they kind of go by, I don't want to say this is a standard. It kind of felt like the Power Ranger standards. So
it did.
One season, then you swap out with a bunch of new kids. Then you have another season, maybe related somehow. Then you do another season, completely new batch of kids. Whereas this has the opportunity to really kind of be its own, first season, second season, third season, kind of following the growth and the development.
That's what people want.
I think one thing though.
Go ahead, Jamal, go ahead.
I think one thing that they attempted to do that they failed at was they would do this thing where, like you said, they will get these new batch of kids, but then they would randomly create a series trying to tie back to the original, and it got weird. It got really weird with them, especially the storyline and timeline of everything going on.
I mean, I think they did well with designs, and it's even some being goofy and kind of lopsided and weird, but they were clearly still trying to separate themselves from everything else, and they're so similar to the other side of the spectrum, which is Pokemon. But the old one had a lot of weird kid jokes that went over your head. There's a whole bunch of holes in the plot. just weird things. But you just had to. I guess they thought they could get over with their characters.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah,
agreed. I feel like, especially for the brand that it was on, like Pokemon was always on the WB or something along those lines, and this show was like Fox Kids, which was kind of a little bit more extreme, a little bit more surfer, a little bit more skateboard.
More, definitely.
You got one of those.
Fox Kids was my shit. I'm not even gonna like.
Yeah, I mean,
after school, bro.
They were good things.
I can't even remember the lineup. I honestly can't remember the lineup for the life of me. Because I think I was always, I don't know. If I could run back, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll put it on the actual Lookout page, because it seems like that Toonami thing, going back and revisiting that kind of well.
Fox had like Animaniacs and like Batman and X-Men.
No, that was WB.
Yeah.
No, Fox Kids. Fox Kids had.
No, that's where that was Fox Kids.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
Animaniacs.
Yes.
Animaniacs. Yeah,
there was a time where Fox
Warner Brothers, though. That's crazy.
Fox Kids had a wild run. I think they had Static Shock too.
I think they did.
Static Shock. I can see 100%. It's in that line of like whatever the hell they have there. But God, what was that about? Anyway, so can you guys remember officially the first time you saw Digimon, and was it on the premiere date like it was for me?
Yeah, it was. It was. My first time was watching it on TV.
I think the first time I watched Digimon, it wasn't even the original series, because it dropped and I was like 5.
Right, of course.
I think
that's still old enough. You could have grabbed it.
I mean, I could have, but I think the time I vividly remember was probably Frontiers.
Okay,
was when I first started. Yeah, I got in at a weird time. Frontiers.
I wouldn't say it's weird. I wouldn't say it's weird because it had nothing to do with the previous show. I think that was the 3rd season, I believe, of the show. But it didn't have any links to the old sort of thing like season 2 did, or season, obviously season 1. But I distinctly remember the promotion for the show. It premiered.
It was in like 98 or 99.
No, it premiered on. It premiered in 99. Actually,
99.
Completely right.
Well, no. See, my thing, I feel like the reason why I was tuned into it, because we were like 2.5 years in on Pokemon, about like as a culture, and just off that, I was
off the mind.
Off the mind, bro. And I'm not trying to, say, Digimon even existed because of Pokemon, which could be true, maybe not. But all I'm saying is, I was definitely pushed to watch that show because of how I felt about Pokemon.
100%. It's in the same kind of genre of these, like, obviously pocket monsters, digital monsters. Yeah. It's in the same kind of genre of like,
what kid doesn't monsters. Want? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's a whole experience. They evolve, all the other stuff like that. To kind of say that it to me, I feel like the show. I don't, in terms of just the inspiration for Pokemon, I think it definitely, if it didn't inspire Pokemon, Pokemon was the leader of the genre of this type of show.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you said though, like that time and era, there was just, I think Pokemon was like leading the way, and then there was like kind of a bunch of things that kind of followed around it, because Pokemon kind of opened that gate of these little like animal monster things that have human partners, and they evolve, have these different looks and types and skills, and Pokemon definitely kind of blasted that door open of other things like Digimon to come in and be successful. Like, I mean, it was still a successful series.
Yeah, so it was. All the things we say, I mean, no matter what. And it had a lot, there was a lot of different things going on. Like I said, like you said, Yu-Gi-Oh! Even popped up and was very successful in its own lane. And, and Pokemon was already doing what it was doing. So, yeah, it was tough, but I think it did make it just off how things were at that moment for us as kids. Like, it was very easy to get a push like that.
Right, 100%.
I think even going back and watching the original series, even though Digimon, I mean, you can obviously say it was Pokemon inspired, but if you even look at the story though, like it was really different than like kind of some things that was going on.
They definitely set it apart.
Because I think it was Pokemon was always this episodic plot where things were revealed. The problem was revealed and always wrapped up within the same episode. And besides Ash catching Pokemon or Badge or just something, nothing would really carry from episode to episode. Right. Whereas Digimon kind of exposed you to the story of like, oh my God, you kind of got to wait till the next episode. Like, especially the first episode. The first episode, they're about to drop off a cliff.
Yes.
So you're like, what is going to happen to these guys? And they do the little narration. Whoa, guys, like, get out of town. We're about to drop. See you next fall. But something along those lines, and it was obviously for the time, it was for the channel, it was for this thing, but it kind of introduced me. This was the first kind of anime that I've seen that, I think I legitimately saw this before I ever saw Dragon Ball. Can't be sure, but I might have been. But no, actually I'm lying. I saw Dragon Ball in maybe like 3rd grade, 4th grade. With that said, in terms of just the story that it was being told, it's like this episodic thing, and it happened from episode to episode. Did you guys have any? I'll say this because the first season, obviously, first of all, the new reboot is based off of everything from the first season. So the same 7 Digidestins, the same partners, everything will be. I mean, those part will be the same, and kind of everything else is kind of changed, either updated for 2020 or kind of updated for a much more richer plot.
Right. Which is what we hope for. We hope it's
right,
for
but
that.
Did you guys have any favorite memories of this first season that you maybe hope they include within this new one?
I don't want to say memories per se. I would prefer
Digimon.
Now that's different. See, I feel like I did feel like that the series and their monsters and designs and what they stand for had a lot of potential. And there were some characters that you could be like, yo, that is cool as fuck. Like even today, you can see things that they're working on. You're like, wow, that is really, really cool. I wish that could have went further as far as merchandise and video games and all that shit. But I think I sent you guys some pictures like Terriermon. I used to love Terriermon and Lopmon, Gatomon, the cat with the yellow gloves on. That shit was hard. Like there was just a few designs where I was like always interested in it, and it just kept me around because it was just a little bit more like I just felt like it was a little bit more personal when it came to like these niggas could talk. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just different.
I just remember the evolutions and like just how cool they were and how they could like evolve and then like
yeah. What are you clowning? Meelz is clowning.
But how cool they looked, and then how they were able to revert back to like an original form. It was very like Dragon Ball esque.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, oddly enough.
Yeah.
To me, I think there were just a lot of inner plots weaved in between a lot of things that I kind of like remember from the series. I remember, it's a given every season that Leomon dies. Right. I just remember that. Like he just dies. I remember the connection between like Gatomon and Wizardmon or something along those lines. And when he died, and the whole Digidestin.
Real shit was going down.
Yeah, I remember there was where Greymon digivolved wrong and ended up this like evil skull Greymon type of thing. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, okay. Man, they're doing some heavy stuff.
I think one thing that was very confusing for me for this series was the names. Like the names were, first of all, they weren't cool to me. The characters would look really cool, but the names were, it was too much, or it was like really, it would be like Drillmon.
Some of them were very corny.
They were very corny.
Yeah, I agree. Some names were kind of like, all right, that will work. Press
right, 100%. Yeah, press Birdmon.
Right. Okay. Clearly, Birdmon.
Yeah. A bird with teeth, like, and then that's what's crazy is like to me the designs were. It was clear that Digimon. If I say Pokemon had one thing on Digimon, it was that the Pokemon designs are way better than the Digimon designs because they kind of. I can say that.
Look, man, I'm telling you right now, like there are a few Digimon where I'm like, man, I wish that was.
Don't
like,
get me wrong.
I look at it and be like, I wish that was a Pokemon. Like that shit.
Well,
Hard
listen,
as fuck. Like
you put anything on 2 legs and it's gonna look cooler.
I know,
Like
I feel
you do the, of course, Omnimon looks freaking incredible.
Yeah, Pokemon's done well keeping things animalistic for the most part. I know we still like we cringe a little bit at the humanoid type ones, but you know they're still cute, cuddly. You know,
listen, my guy Gargomon had 2 blickies on each
yes,
hand.
he did.
Yes.
Well,
that's the GOAT design.
Yeah,
right there. Or
I'm looking at fucking Birdramon as this big ugly ass bird, and I just remember as a kid watching this thing, I was like, that is an ugly motherfucking bird.
Yeah, I mean, you got some things that are like bunnies, and then at their final part, they're like an angel with their tits out, and like
so it's kind of like.
It's crazy.
Where are we going with this?
So, some of the evolutions did not make sense though. Like,
no,
it didn't make sense. It would start off. They would start off as like a dinosaur.
Patamon is a big thing where he evolved into practically a damn human. The man was walking, talking, getting coffee, all types of shit. Like it was so much. I mean, we talk about this. I think in terms of the prominence for Digimon, it really kind of carried over to the next 2 seasons. I remember the second season being the fact that it was so closely related to the first season. It still had some of the maintained Kyrie and TK, but also had like Davis, other kid, and other kid. I didn't think the names. I did no research for this. I just remember a girl with purple hair and this kid with a bowl cut.
Right.
But they kind of retained it in other stuff, and I think even when you got to the 3rd season, they kind of made it very, very like extreme. Do you guys have any particular season of Digimon that you guys have seen? It doesn't even have to be in the first 3; it could be all that you've seen that you really feel like people should watch or enjoy.
No,
besides the first one, obviously.
No, bro. The only thing I would say is no. I'm just being straight up. But Digimon the movie 2000. Listen, dog.
Banger. A bang. Everybody should watch Digimon the movie.
Hard. That shit is hard. Digimon the movie 2000. Okay, it came out. I want to say that I think that was the same year.
2000. I hope so.
I think right, of course. But like, I think it was. I want to say Pokemon was on Lugia. I want to say, or
it was definitely after the first and
it was tough
Pokemon movie.
It was rough. I know times were rough for this brand, but that movie is hard. Had a very like dope ass soundtrack. It felt like anime. It was done well the whole way through.
Yeah, it's got great design, actual artwork.
It's so good. It's so good. Like I think if anything, check out and you may be like, damn, you know what? Let me go back and watch these old ass episodes. Other than that, there's no reason to go back and watch that shit. As far as I'm concerned, unless you're watching like Try.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, going back and watching the older stuff is not fun. I mean, in the series wise, the movie was crazy. I actually do remember seeing the movie like as a kid. Like that movie was absolutely insane. It blew. Like, even now, like it still holds up. But the rest of the series, like when you look at the older stuff, it really doesn't hold up as well. I think that's where Pokemon gets its like edge above them. Is that Pokemon holds up.
I think there are
still
moments,
the older Pokemon series where I'm like, okay, cool. Like this is still fun to watch.
Right.
Digimon, I'm like, I was trying to go back. I was trying to watch this stuff. I was like, man, this does not hit. It ain't. But no, the movie thing, they have another movie coming out this year. It's supposed to release stateside March 25th. Digimon Adventure is the last evolution. So yeah, that released in Japan in February. It's supposed to release stateside like March 25th.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if I'm going to see that, but you know why?
Right. I mean, I don't know.
Let me take a look. At this. You know why I'll say this, and this kind of gets into the next conversation piece that I want. And it honestly, if I had to pick a couple moments of things to see, I do like the second part of season 2, like when it starts like Black War Greymon and
that shit hard.
And even the second part where they had like Ken and there's like the spirals and stuff like that and all this other stuff. I thought it was really good. And I think the 3rd season as well got kind of really extreme in a way, but it all ended up being like this very contrived plot. And like again, like Jamal said, like in terms of the actual design itself, you'll always remember Pokemon, how they look. You'll always remember the moments. But I think with Digimon, their names and their actual like you actually remembering them, it never really connected well.
It was hard. Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, it was never
I
really,
also
and that's
think-
why.
Like I also think like what made it hard with Digimon and connecting to like the show in general is that they really only had the show. Like outside of that, they had nothing. The games were okay.
Games were
niche-y.
garbage.
They're niche-y, bro. They're niche-y. Like if you didn't like Digimon, you weren't playing it.
I had to
weren't
work
playing
way too
game.
hard.
The trading cards were not, and Pokemon, like, look, Pokemon, no matter what anybody says, I don't want nobody to forget that the Pokemon trading card game was probably the biggest thing that Pokemon produced in the 90s. Digimon was not ready for that. Like, they had card games, but it was not.
The card games weren't
good.
fun. Like, even the games, I think there's only one Digimon game that I like to play, and I had it on PlayStation 2.
Yeah, Digimon World, boy. Hey,
yeah,
man,
there we go. Digimon
that.
World.
I didn't like
Digimon
that
World went crazy. I'll give
hard.
Digimon World this props.
That was it.
After that,
That's about it.
it was
that
nothing
game.
else.
I had to work way too hard.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Yo, you got they.
Oh yeah, I put in hours on that.
Yeah, they actually
game running
proofing
all
it,
throughout
man.
the night because I didn't have a memory card.
It's like,
Ooh,
damn,
my
I
mom
don't
was
wanna
gonna
deal
kill
with
me.
this.
But yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to connect. I mean, especially during that time, I feel it was hard to connect with fans and kids if all you had was a show. Like even with Pokemon, I'll watch the show, get excited, go turn on the Game Boy, go play the game. Had trading cards. Like there was so much other things I could immerse myself in that was fun about this. That Digimon, it was just more so just here's this show that I like to watch, and after that, it's kind of like okay, I forgot about it in my mind.
Yeah.
So we get I think the sort of peak of the entire Digimon, and I think it's probably season 2. It's its peak, but I'll give season 3 kind of a nod just of how like different and kind of good that it was.
Right.
However, I think when it reached to season 4, when they were doing that train season, I just remember it specifically. I felt like it got canceled or moved in the middle of the season. But it turns out people weren't necessarily, I mean, there was no interest for it. So kind of like now, I want to, not even bring up the question, but kind of, bring up the kind of discussion of like, yo, so where has Digimon kind of been for the last 15, 16 years? Like, what has it done? And you have various things like you have episodes, you have another seasons that were made. I think there were seasons like
Digimon App Monsters.
Yeah, they started
Digimon
making
App
those.
Monsters.
They started making. It's funny that you mentioned the Power Ranger stuff because I feel like that's the direction it went after this all ended. They just kind of like that's why as soon as you said that, I was like, man, that's incredible because that's exactly what happened. They started making these branch off Digimon shows with different powers or fusion or and it wasn't what that was never going to draw us in. You know what I'm saying?
Nah.
Like, they had deals. I mean, they were getting seasons, but I don't assume anybody was going crazy for it.
Right.
Yeah,
so we had. Go ahead.
You don't see it at all, and I feel this is kind of where, as of recent, where a lot of things start coming in, such as like Digimon Try, this new movie they got, and even whole like reboot. Them just kind of close this chapter in their history of this was bad. This kind of sucked. Let's try to tie it back into what was the original, what made us successful in that, and then let's try to start all over again.
Right.
And
so
I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it next.
So obviously they go through season 5, Digimon Data Squad in 2006. After taking a 3-year hiatus, doesn't really pop off. Then 4 years later, we get another season, Digimon Fusion. Apparently a whopping 79 episodes of that.
Good God.
I hear people said it was good, but I don't remember. 79? But I'm not gonna. I don't plan on finding out.
That's a lot of Digimon, dude.
But we're really circling back around, and I think what they decided to do eventually, and it's like Jamal said, trying to kind of recapture what happened when the series was at its most popular, ends up being Digimon Try, which is the series. It's either a series of shows, a few episodes, or a series of movies, or something along those lines. But it kind of like the 6-episode
movie.
Yeah,
So
I saw it as a
movie,
series of episodes. it ended up being like 20 episodes if you watch it in that format, or I don't know if you watch it as a movie or something along those lines, but they kind of added this entire more, I would say, mature kind of take on these shows, and incorporating a lot more of the, like, you know, modern anime take to all these other stuff. They had 6 chapters: reunion, determination, confession, loss, coexistence, future, all dealing with this other girl who has a Digimon, and now it's infected, and now it's fucking up everything. And it's a story that I don't personally like, because their Digimon die, they come back,
so
they don't have any of their memories.
Here's my thing, bro. What with this? My issue with it is, it seemed like this was their way to kind of say goodbye to this era.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that, you know, whatever. I wasn't extremely like happy with the way that it was put together, but I just find it weird that they're deciding to reboot the whole series now after just letting us say goodbye to these characters.
right.
Oh, you think you're gonna hate the movie then? Because
You know what I'm saying?
the whole movie is based around this is,
You're talking
they
about the
can't
movie that's
hold on-
coming up.
Yeah, the movie that's coming up, Digimon Last Evolution, and pretty much the basis of the movie is that only kids can have Digimon, and like now they're all older, and now they're like, we have one last battle to fight before we lose our Pokemon forever.
Did you say Pokemon?
Or not Pokemon, Digimon, before we lose our Digimon forever. And like, yeah, it gets weird. The plot around the movie is very weird, because they're trying to, I guess, like, the movie is kind of tying into the new series of this is their final goodbye to everything. And then
I don't want to see them again. Like, if this is the end, then
and it's kind of, and it's kind of like a similar plot, right? Because I feel like they've always had the threat of losing their Digimon for whatever particular reason, whether it's viruses, whether it's, you know, adware, whatever, like, whether it's, you know, they're growing up, all these other things. I think they keep leaning on the plot of like, okay, and they're adults and they got to lose these guys. But at the end of the day, it's like, you don't really want to lose them. You don't want to lose the charm of the entire series. The charm has always been the bond between the human and the Digimon. So it's why you continuously putting them in peril, where it's like, oh, they could lose them. And then eventually, once again, I mean, I think they do lose them, but then they get them back. And then they kind of like have to say goodbye over again. It's like, to me, the first season kind of ended off on a nice little thing. We have to leave them in the digital world. I forgot, for whatever particular reason, they have to go back to their lives. We have to go back to our lives. That's kind of how it's going to go. But if you're going to continue the series, and you're going to continue the series with this whole Digimon thing, and kids are going to have Digimon again, why even take them away in the first place?
Exactly.
Like, it, to me, it kind of like, it's hustling backwards, that you're constantly like tugging and pulling and back and forth with this whole plan of like, okay, they got to lose their Digimon. That's it. That's how we're going to end this. They got to lose it. But then it's like, why are you starting new series where they have Digimon again?
I know that. That's my confusion, bro. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah, I really don't know what more of a story they're gonna tell either with this new series. I'm really interested in just what story is gonna be like. What is this storyline gonna be like? What more can they tell us than they've kind of already told a bit?
Right.
I mean, I've heard it all over again. I mean, we were kids when this shit came out, but the basis of the show hasn't changed much.
I remember being actually like into the idea of Digimon Adventure Try, because it was at this point, I mean, I hadn't watched Digimon for quite some time. It was this was a series marking the 15th anniversary of Digimon. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And it kind of telling these stories and wrapping this thing up. And I just remember being invested. I remember, you know, new girl, they're trying to get it over. It's kind of similar to their classmates, their friends, or if you're Mimi, you're like some fashion associate, or if you're Joe, you're like some doctor or something along those lines. But they're all around the same age and friends and shit like that. But they're building these relationships. You kind of see them when they're older. You kind of see their interactions with their family and all this other stuff like that, and building that sort of relationship with their Digimon all after the fact. And it was kind of nice, but I can't help but like feeling, I don't even remember how it ended, but I couldn't remember shaking the feeling of being disappointed watching the actual ending of it. Because they did things like, I remember the second season Digidestined were just not featured in the movie at all. Or they were, but they were like in some like tubes or tanks and just like, oh, we can't even use them because they're not even operable. Like they're dead or something along those lines. They're being held together by like tubes. And I was just like, this is so whack. Like, to me, I never felt, other than the first season, second season was a little bit much because second season, like the first season and second season, they're all having kids together. And it's like this very like incestual type of deal. Man, purple and blue hair kids. And shit like that. But which they've always kind of jumped the gun with the ending that they told, because now you do this like ending, like that's like the finale of it. Like season 2 ended up being like the finale of season 1, even though season 1 to me had a really great ending. But with season 2, they kind of like take it a further and it's like, okay, this is that, because we're not even doing these niggas. We're not even seeing these niggas no more. But like they never seem to capture what people want from the show and kind of how it's supposed to end, and creatively how a beat, like a great beat.
It is very forgettable.
It's just forgettable, man, and it sucked because I mean I thought it had plenty of potential. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess the reboot is cool if they take it serious and it's not a joke to some extent, and you know I'm all here for it. But yeah, back in the day, even with reboots or not reboots, but like, you know, try and all that, like, yeah, it's a lot of it's forgettable. You know, you watch it, you're like, oh, this is cool because of nostalgic purposes, and then it doesn't matter to you anymore.
Yeah, I think it's just more so I think the moment as a kid was cool because of visually how it looked, but it just lacked that it factor. It lacked that like certain amount of depth that allows you to just connect with the show. No, fully. Like they like rewatching it. There were a couple moments I was like, "Oh dang!" Like I forgot.
It wasn't a lifestyle, all about this. Man. It wasn't a lifestyle, man. Pokemon was like a lifestyle. Really wasn't. You know, and it was tough to get out of. So you know, man. I mean, Digimon had some cool things, man. It just
that cool merch.
I think it is coming back. I think it is coming back though at the right time.
If
Pokemon like Pokemon is having this like resurgence, you can say, of like popularity. And I just think it's the right time for them to kind of try again, but like hopefully with this time where they're doing it, they kind of put their all into it. And it's like when you look at the old series, it just looked like they stopped caring at moments where they were just kind of just throwing in shit, and then they'll be like, oh, you know, what's it better, just throw that in there, and then you look back at it and I'm like, wow, this is really bad. So hopefully, you know, this time around they kind of really put their all into this series and try to make it as enjoyable and as fun as, you know, as it can be. Like Digimon has a lot of potential when you really look at everything with it. They do. It just, you know, who's driving this vehicle is the big thing.
Right. I think it has potential. I think it has, you know what? I'm still caught up in the name tag of it all, because Digimon is still like, when you think about childhood and when you think about the shows that you watch, and I mean, I think a lot of us as 90s kids remember Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that, and that's something like the generations after us won't have, so we kind of like hold on to it different. Like we don't take it for granted, because that was kind of how we spent our Saturday mornings. Whereas now kids Saturday morning probably open up fucking their iPads and watch YouTube for like you know 6 hours or something. Or like you're trying to find something like Saturday school or some shit like that, dance classes, whatever. But like if you were a kid, you had these type of moments. You had Pokemon, you had Digimon, you had all this other stuff. So I'm still kind of like holding on to like, okay, the name of the game is Digimon. I know it. I love it. I respect it. I want to see it do well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're kind of like questioning yourself. It's like, does this really have the potential to do well, or is it really flawed? Is it just a flawed concept in general? Like, because it's like Jamal said, like we don't have the video games, and I think another thing is because it's so closely associated with Pokemon, because
it's hard, man. They did
Same
that
thing.
themselves.
Yeah, same thing. It's not a very, it's not like the rest of animes where it's kind of like you could do anything and it's different than Pokemon. It's like, this is Digimon. This is digital monsters against pocket monsters. These are a boy, a
It was
protagonist.
sent to compete.
Yeah.
And just off that alone, some fans are gonna be like, I'm not fucking with this because I'm Pokemon
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah, and they came in way too like late. Not even say way too late in the game, but they came in when
It was bad.
Pokemon loyalty was too high.
It was too high.
If they did it like a year after Pokemon, that would have been cool. They did it like what did you say, like 2 years?
It was a good 2.5 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
even
know what I'm saying?
could've.
Pokemon had the
It's
game
just
on lock, you know?
Yeah, they really, really did. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if this is just like, is this just flawed? And like, there's ways to make it interesting, but how? Because I'm looking at, I mean, it's an entire reboot. There's, once again, April 5th. It'll be premiering with maybe an English sub soon after. It's
Do we
just
have a
gonna all
rating?
be in-
Do we have a TV rating?
No.
Who's the studio behind it?
I can look it up.
All I'm saying is, I feel like there is a chance, and that only because it just depends on the approach that they take, right? If they go straight, that kids shit, it's going to be tough for us to, relate to it. I think they need something a little bit more serious. I think the stakes need to like mean something when there are some, and it can't just be kind of like goofy, and I think it'll work, but I don't know what they're shooting for. If they're shooting for that after school kid, with Bakugan, all that shit, then who knows, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now is Toy Animation is going to be the ones doing it. No, I agree with Jeff. I think that what they really need to lean on is the simple fact that, like you said with Pokemon, there really isn't a really big connecting storyline here. Like, there's a different story each episode. If they can really lean into the stakes of the show, like if Digimon could really lean into that, like there's serious stakes here. This is like a serious storyline. This is something that we're, it's not all play. They could have something there. I think they really need to lean in on that, though. The simple fact that there is a overarching storyline with this digital world, what's going on.
So Toy Animations is doing it.
Yes. So
okay.
I got a little bit more information on it. So yes, Toy Animation. Masato Matsuka, who was the director of Digimon Fusion, is serving as director of Toei Animation, and Masato Mitsuka has been a part of storyboard for Dragon Ball Super and the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie.
Yeah.
Glitter Force. Let's see, Tai Chi Chasers. Didn't see that.
I mean, this looks good, man. As far as the trailer is concerned,
And then Atsuhiro Tomioka, wow, I'm getting better at this, is supervising the scripts. He was involved in Inzuma 11, Pokemon, One Piece, Beyblade Burst, so we'll see. And let's see, there's a lot of people on here. There's the art director, there's art setting guy who's part of Fire Force, they have a lot.
Do another name, heat check. Do another name, heat check it.
Okay.
Do another name.
Full Metal Panic. He did art setting on that. I think that's just the setting. Let me get to the actual artistic. The art director, chief animation director, Akihiro Asunuma. He was part of Digimon, a lot of the Digimon Frontier, Fusion, Daddy Squad, blah blah blah. What else did he do? I'm looking at the Anime News Network, who has just been amazing to me over nothing really that I've seen that's really sticking out. That was depressing.
I just look, I think they got a good studio behind them. Hopefully it works out and we can enjoy it. It looks good. It looks like something I can watch. Doesn't look silly as far as like, the art. So, we're gonna give it a chance, man. We'll give it a chance.
I don't want to,
you guys and watch the movie.
I don't want to dispel the actual like people who are on the show because I'm sure they're working hard, but it kind of seems like, they're keeping it within the Digimon kind of school, which I'm sure is great for fans of the show. They're like keeping it within there, and not really, straying too far away from it, but they also don't have a lot of guys who are just like on some of the top name animes, because those guys are probably like, I'm going where the money at. Like,
Of course, I mean,
they doing that again.
again,
get a bag.
it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, it was like, come on. Maybe if someone was like between Dragon Ball Super and stuff, it was like, damn, I need the money real bad.
Right? They taking way too long with this shit.
Oh yeah, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with seeing how it goes. April 5th is the day. It's less than a month away in terms of this new series. We're open-minded. It's a completely new plot.
Definitely.
It's the same faces, completely new plot. Hopefully, whole new experience. That's what we can say. But I think that'll kind of wrap up our little discussion on this new reboot of Digimon and our feelings about it and our feelings about the old stuff and all this other stuff. Maybe we'll go over season one day. Maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of we'll put it up for debate. If you guys are interested in it, we'll definitely check it out. But until then, if you want to continue to check out stuff like that, if you want to continue to check out the Lookout, which is, we're getting close to wrapping up the season of Demon Slayer.
Yes, sir.
So you can, follow that. You got Big Eyes, which should be, I'm going to drop this after your Big Eyes episode comes out this week. Jamal. So do you have any idea of what you're actually talking this week?
Oh, this week, Seraph of the End, because their monthly chapter dropped, and I love that damn series. Yeah. My Hero, they are actually kind of going crazy these last couple chapters, and this last chapter was a banger. And Promise Neverland, because
girl power, right?
Girl power for one, and for some reason, this whole series has now turned into a GTA heist, and I love it. It is a GTA heist. So, So those are probably that's what you're gonna hear tomorrow.
I love that they dropped that kind of chapter on International Women's Day. I was like, all right, ladies with guns, you better do this.
Man, they were letting them joints fly.
Yeah,
everything went as planned.
I didn't like how, I'm spoiling this at the end, so make sure you listen to the Big Eyes podcast, but I didn't like how old boy got away. I was like, come on.
It was his time.
It was just, how you gonna let him get away? But you know what? This is how that series is a continuation. We can only hope that Digimon will be even comparably as good as that series or any other series that we got going out, because this anime renaissance is really leaving no room for the weak.
Oh no, it really isn't. Like if you're trash, you're out. Like things now do not have long
things to watch. There's so much things to watch. It's like if you're trash, you're out. Like I might catch you if I'm in between. Like of course I'm in between One Punch Man seasons. This shit drops every 3 years. Of course I'm in between currently Demon Slayer, but I'm waiting for that to come back. And maybe My Hero's about to end, so that's about the thing. Super, I don't even want to talk about it
again.
But
what's Super?
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to talk about it, but we can only hope that Digimon is there. But if you want to make sure to follow all this stuff, all these great discussions by myself and my fellow compadres that are on this, make sure you follow the Lookout RNC on Twitter. Make sure you follow the Lookout RNC on Instagram. Make sure you follow the Lookout RNC on YouTube. Make sure you follow the Lookout RNC on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, everywhere that you can find podcasts. You can find this podcast. So yeah, this will be up on YouTube. This will be up on the page as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.